Has writing your novel lost its luster? You started writing with all kinds of ideas and energy and excitement, but now that you're in that muddy middle, it all just feels a little blah, a little hard. And sitting down and forcing yourself to write feels about as much fun as riding the New York City subway without air conditioning in the middle of August. Today, I'm sharing 3 reasons you might be finding the writing process a little bit difficult and how to help. Hi, I'm Jennifer Gregson, a tarot book coach who helps writers get past that muddy middle so they can start enjoying the writing process again and get to the end all with a smile on their face. Reason number 1 that you might be finding the writing process a little dull: your characters are dull. Now, one reason for this is that you are writing your characters and you are so involved with their lives that it becomes repetitive. Okay? If that's the case, you might just need to step away for a couple of days. But if you don't feel like you know your characters very well, or you're not writing them in an exciting way, that's when we need to take a step back and talk to your characters. I suggest interviewing them. Ask them some questions like, what do you need me to know today? Or what do you need me to know about your story? You can journal as them. That is one of my favorite things to do. You can do this handwritten in a physical journal, or you can do this in a Word document type situation. Basically, just pretend you are your character. Pick a day either from your book or from before your book and write the journal entry as if you are them. It tells you a lot about their quirks, their habits, how they speak to themselves, what they share when no one else is around. It can be very, very insightful. Another thing I like to do if things are feeling a little stagnant or dull or boring, I like to throw all my characters into one scene and throw something at them. Even if this is not something that's going to be in your book later, it can be a lot of fun and give you some insight as how your characters sort of interact with each other, right? So one way I like to do this is to throw them into a party situation. I write YA, so that's easiest for me, sort of just put them at some sort of party. But if you are writing adult characters, you could throw them into a bar situation, a work situation, whatever makes sense, but have most of your characters together and then throw something really, really wacky. So if I was going to write the party situation, I could sort of set up the party, have them interact with each other, and then maybe somebody calls the cops. How does each character react to that? And write it as if you're going to sort of hit all of your characters, even if that's not how you write your book. Doing that sort of gives you a chance to write for each of your characters and gives you a reason to sort of check in with them and see how they would react to this. And is this something that you can add back into your novel, back into your outline, that will help add a little oomph? Another thing that you can do, especially if you're not feeling very connected to your characters, is for each one, write one thing about their childhood. Maybe what they wanted to do when they grew up, or write about their favorite pet, or write about a really sad event like when their favorite grandparent died. Even if that's not something that's going to be useful in your novel, it gives you the tiniest glimpse into your characters as a real human. Reason 2 that you might be feeling a little blah: your plot. Your plot feels blah. It feels dull. It feels boring. You're tired of writing. Okay, again, this may mean you need a break, or it might mean that you need to add a few things into your plot. What I like to do is I like to brainstorm with tarot cards, of course. Basically, it's just to sort of give me some new ideas into what can I do to these characters? What can I do to the conflict? What can I do to what the characters want or need? How can I add a layer of depth underneath what I already have planned? Okay, so I have my Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck here. So let me show you an example of how I would do that. So I shuffled the cards. I'm going to pick one off the top. All right, and I got the 5 of Wands. So the 5 of Wands is all about conflicts. That is pretty funny. But it's about, when I see this card, I think of immediately a big fight. So, how can I add a giant fight into my novel? So, is there a way to add a public argument? Is there a way to add some sort of misunderstanding so that there is some tension? Is there a way to add in some sort of disagreement that maybe snowballs and blows up to create more of an exciting plot point? If I'm really feeling kind of stagnant and don't really want to take a break, but I'm not really feeling the next few chapters, maybe it's not so much those chapters, maybe you just want to write something forward. Go ahead and give yourself permission to write out of order. I don't always like to do this, but sometimes you can see ahead in your outline and you're super jazzed about this scene that's 4 chapters ahead and you're not quite excited about the next 4 chapters. If you don't want to work on fixing those next 4 chapters, go ahead and write ahead, write the scene that's really, really exciting you, and then work backwards, making the next 4 chapters as exciting as that scene. The third reason, the words just feel weird. When you sit down to write and you start to type or you're handwriting, it just doesn't sound right. If this is causing the writing process to not seem so fun, add in something new to your writing ritual. Now, I have a whole video about customized writing rituals that I'll add in the cards, so go check that video out as well. But the simplified version is, I like to have something that I do before I write, something I do during my writing session, and something I reward myself with after my writing session. So if you don't have all 3 of those elements, add whatever one you're missing. So I like to pump myself up with music before I write. I like to light a candle and have my tarot cards nearby as I'm writing. I also write to music, but I know that's very subjective. And then afterwards, I like to reward myself, either with time doing something else, like coffee and a magazine for 30 minutes, a little bit of chocolate, a phone call with my friend, time to snuggle with my kid, whatever that is for you, add in something like that so that your writing ritual, your writing sessions become a little bit more fun and magical. To go along with that, you can also create a reward system. So every 5 writing sessions, you get a Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts coffee. If you write every day for 2 weeks straight, you get 3 days off. Whatever works for you, but figure out a little reward system. It doesn't have to be huge. Like I said, the Starbucks Dunkin' Donuts coffee is like $5, $6 maybe with inflation. But you could also just maybe make your favorite beverage that you never make as a treat. So figure out a way to reward yourself both in the moment, after a writing session, and also after a sort of run of writing sessions. I also like to make it a game. I love to use timers and I try to see how many words I can write in 25 minutes. That works for me. I've been writing a long time. If 25 minutes feels super long, start with 10. See how many words you can do in 10 minutes, write it down. The next time you sit down, see if you can beat that. So let's say you get 100 words in 10 minutes. Tomorrow, when you set the timer for 10 minutes, can you do 110 words? The next day, can you do 120 words? Now, I type super, super fast. If you're not a great typist, that's fine. The thing is to get out of your head and get the words on paper. So sometimes trying to play beat the clock helps. If that causes anxiety though, don't do this step. This is just an option, but I don't want anyone to feel flustered trying to beat the clock. So if that's not working for you, then just try the ritual, the magical aspect, and then the reward system. The other thing I want you guys to remember is that our writing feels weird to us, especially in first draft land. We are trying to tell the story that's in our head and putting it on paper, and that is a funky process. So just know the words are not always going to feel right. You can't always be subjective with your own writing, and that's okay. That's what revisions are for, beta readers, editors, down the road. So just know that sometimes the words are gonna sound a little funky. So just make sure you remind yourself either after every week or after every session that you can always fix things later. First draft is messy, and that's okay. So now you know the sort of 3 reasons why sitting down to write may feel hard. Which one is the one that's hitting you the most right now? And what are you planning on doing this week to make it easier, to make it more fun? I'd love to know in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, I would love for you to check out the video I did about how to get out of that muddy middle and actually get back on track. It's up in the cards. Also, you can find it down in the description box below. And if you have any questions, let me know. I am going to be doing new YouTube videos every week during the summer, so come back next week to check that out. I'd love for you to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and have a beautiful day.